Muy buenas tardes. A nombre del Consejo Regional Lima, les damos una cordial bienvenida y agradecemos a todos los espectadores su constante participación en nuestras actividades del 14º aniversario de la creación del CAP Regional Lima. Les informamos que esta conferencia será traducida al español, así que podrán elegir la opción Interpretación, que la pueden ubicar en la parte inferior de la pantalla del Zoom, y elegir el idioma de su elección. El día de hoy nos reunimos para llevar a cabo la presentación del convenio entre Graphisoft y el CAP Regional Lima, y como invitado especial agradecemos la presencia de ZDA Arquitectos desde Hungría. En nuestro panel agradecemos a los representantes de Graphisoft y de la Regional Lima, y también de nuestros invitados. Iniciamos este evento con las palabras de bienvenida del arquitecto Jean-Pierre Cruz, director regional de Asuntos Gremiales y Comunales. Adelante, arquitecto, bienvenido.
Gracias, Ángela, bienvenidos a todos. Proseguimos nuestra semana de aniversario del Colegio de Arquitectos del Perú, de la Regional Lima. Hemos querido hacer este evento también como una prolongación de todas las actividades que estamos llevando a cabo con motivo de la Bienal Internacional de Arquitectura de Lima, la Vía Lima 2021. En esta ocasión, poner en relieve a Graphisoft, que fue uno de nuestros socios para la Vía Lima, de nuestros partners y auspiciadores, y aprovechamos también para firmar un convenio con ellos, con múltiples objetivos, en este convenio, y sobre todo es el de capacitar a los arquitectos de la Regional Lima en el uso de las herramientas BIM, ¿no? Y también difundir estos software que, que en el caso de Graphisoft y ArchiCAD son los pioneros en realidad de la plataforma BIM, también dar a conocer cuál es la normativa, cuáles son las reglas de ética y buenas prácticas que esta plataforma nos abre para el futuro. Hemos invitado hoy día a una oficina importantísima que es ZDA Architects, a Gabor Soboki, quien nos va también queremos ver proyectos de oficinas que trabajan con plataforma BIM y cómo esta plataforma es una gran ventaja no solamente en la parte técnica de los proyectos, sino también en la concepción de los proyectos. Con esto termino, para que la introducción no sea larga, y le doy la palabra a Miklos Slovenilux, quien va a contarnos un poco desde Graphisoft todo este mundo en el cual en el Perú recién estamos entrando un poco a trompicones, y para que nos aclare este panorama internacional, estas normas que se están actuando en muchos otros países, y cuáles son las perspectivas en el Perú. Adelante, Miklos, bienvenido.
Gracias, Jean-Pierre. Soy Miklos Slovenilux. Voy a compartir la pantalla. ¿Aquí lo ven?
Sí,
ok.
Perfecto.
Entonces vamos a empezar un poco desde el principio. Soy director de Relaciones Estratégicas Globales de Graphisoft y representante de la CNTC 442. La CNTC 442 es el organismo encargado de desarrollar los estándares comunes para todos los países europeos. Estándares BIM comunes para todos los europeos. Entonces, dos palabras sobre nosotros. Graphisoft fue establecida en Budapest, Hungría, en 1982. El año próximo vamos a cumplir 40 años. ArchiCAD, la solución BIM está en el mercado siempre como BIM. Antes se decía esto, edificación virtual, desde el 84, y somos miembros del grupo Nemetschek de Alemania desde 2007. Bueno, llevamos haciendo esto desde hace más de 35 años. Voy a explicar un poco qué es BIM, qué es la importancia de BIM y para qué usar BIM. Entonces, ¿qué es BIM? Nosotros interpretamos BIM, Building Information Modeling, de la misma manera que el AIA, American Institute of Architects, que prácticamente es la representación de las características físicas y funcionales, o sea, no solamente el 3D, pero todas las funciones de una instalación. Estos son, por ejemplo, costos, datos térmicos, toda esa parte del edificio que no es material también. Y el modelo BIM es una representación digital compartida. Eso es muy importante para que diferentes disciplinas puedan trabajar en el mismo modelo. Y lo que también es muy importante es que desde el desarrollo esquemático hasta la documentación de construcción deberemos usar una sola aplicación. ¿Por qué es importante esto? Porque entonces tenemos una sola base de datos, BIM, Building Information Modeling, de donde se deriva el modelo 3D, la documentación, las cantidades y toda la información. ¿Por qué es importante esto? Es muy simple, porque si tenemos una base de datos, cualquier cosa que modifiquemos automáticamente modifica los otros dos. Entonces, esto es más o menos cómo se define BIM y ¿por qué? ¿Para qué sirve BIM? ¿Por qué es útil? Es muy simple, justo lo que dije, el trabajo es más eficiente. Muchos dicen que pueden hacer edificios muy lindos. No, edificios muy lindos se hicieron hace 5.000 años ni siquiera sin lápiz. Para BIM voy a ser más eficiente, más efectivo. Primero voy a tener un flujo de trabajo en BIM que es 20 a 50% menos que el método tradicional 2D. ¿Y por qué? Porque en la parte inicial estoy creando ya un modelo en mi máquina y cuando vienen los cambios, cualquier cambio se modifica automáticamente la documentación. Mientras, cuando estoy trabajando en 2D, al principio voy a trabajar menos, pero cuando vienen los cambios, tengo que actualizar cada dibujo uno por uno manualmente, que me va a dar también más errores. Con BIM, como los cambios son automáticos, porque hay una sola base de datos, entonces prácticamente voy a tener un mejor edificio. Yo siempre digo que al principio, cuando hay muchos cambios, es muy fácil cuando estamos en la compu, pero cuando en el sitio de la obra hay que demoler algo por un error, eso le cuesta muchas cervezas al arquitecto. Y por supuesto, ahí está el cliente, el problema mayor de nosotros, que siempre quiere cambios, pero como él paga, él tiene derecho a estos cambios. Entonces, por eso es muy importante poder efectuar cambios hasta el último momento, de una manera muy eficiente. Y para eso, esto lo han descubierto en la Unión Europea y por eso empezaron a desarrollar normas BIM. ¿Qué significa esto? Hicieron una encuesta y es una de las industrias más grandes de Europa, 9% del PIB, 18 millones de empleos, 3.1 millones de empresas, 50% de las materias primas extraídas de la tierra van a nuestras casas y lo que es muy interesante que 40% de todas las emisiones de gases de efecto invernadero no vienen de la industria pesada o de los carros o del tráfico, sino de nuestras casas. Y justo por esto decidieron hacer las normas BIM para ahorrar en los costos 30%, construcción más eficiente con menos errores 25%, ahorro en todo el ciclo de vida. Prácticamente son $100 por metro cuadrado. Si uno calcula, nadie calcula con esto, en 40 años, que es el ciclo de vida de un edificio, en un edificio de 20,000 metros cuadrados, que no es muy grande, son $2 millones. Y construir más verde, por supuesto, es muy importante. Entonces, hay un organismo internacional que se llama Building Smart, que tiene diferentes capítulos, y ahí es donde se definen las normas BIM. Y estos miembros pueden tener un voto cuando se define qué contiene técnicamente la norma BIM. Y bueno, aquí en estos países marcados con color naranja, ya tenían sus normas BIM hasta el 2016. Y algo sucedió en el 2016, que en la CNTC hizo una decisión en Oslo, Noruega, que en la norma del archivo BIM de la Unión Europea va a ser IFC. IFC es un estándar de archivo de intercambiar información abierto que usan todas las mayores aplicaciones y soluciones BIM. Y entonces, con esto empezaron muchos países a trabajar en sus estándares BIM. Vamos a ver los azules ahora. Aquí de repente surgió, es increíble, casi todos los países latinoamericanos están haciendo sus estándares BIM. Chile fue el más rápido para ellos. BIM es obligatorio para todos los proyectos mayores de 5,000 metros cuadrados desde el 1 de enero de 2020. Y ahí tenemos Perú en el mapa, está también toda la costa, y yo digo, toda la costa del Pacífico, prácticamente de México hasta Chile, está trabajando en los estándares, y también en la costa oeste, costa del Atlántico, los 3 países, Brasil, Uruguay y Argentina. Lo que es también interesante que, ¿por qué IFC y OpenBIM? Las normas, todas las normas se basan en OpenBIM. Eso significa que son abiertos, porque las autoridades en una democracia tienen que ser neutrales y no pueden favorecer o depender de un fabricante. Esto es muy importante. Por eso todos estos gobiernos que adaptan estándares BIM o normas BIM prácticamente usan OpenBIM, la metodología OpenBIM, y usan el archivo como norma IFC. Bueno, un poco de la Unión Europea. Ahí se decidió en 2014 crear los estándares para el sector público, y lo que hicieron ellos, aquí ven el CNTC 442, es importante que no solamente países de la Unión Europea, sino de afuera también se juntaron, y prácticamente ahora hay, como de hoy, hay 34 miembros. Y bueno, hay grupos de trabajo que trabajan en las diferentes partes del desarrollo. Como vemos ahí, WG significa Work Group. Work Group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hasta 7. Yo estoy representando a mi país en el 1 y ¿cómo se llama? Y en el 7. Entonces, y ahora primer país donde salió la norma en América Latina fue Chile. Ahí el organismo se llama Plan BIM, que fue establecida en 2016, y el objetivo prácticamente es la calidad, la productividad y la transparencia, como vemos aquí, para hacer la industria de la construcción, hacer mejores edificios, de una manera más eficiente, y lo que también es muy importante, como sabemos en nuestra industria, que sea transparente para todos. Y bueno, un poco sobre las normas. Aquí está el Red BIM de gobiernos latinoamericanos, presidida por Carolina Soto, quien es la directora de Plan BIM, y aquí están los miembros, entre ellos Perú también. Y lo que es interesante que en el Perú también empezamos la implementación BIM en el Perú, el 2021, como ven aquí, forman parte activa de la red de BIM de gobiernos latinoamericanos, Plan BIM de Perú. Después tienen como objetivo para implementar BIM en todas las instituciones de educación, de arquitectura e ingeniería, educación superior, por supuesto, y para sectores priorizados, donde hay proyectos grandes en el gobierno para 2025, porque en estos proyectos se puede ahorrar mucho dinero. Y para el 2030, el plan es implementar en BIM en todos los proyectos del sector público en el Perú. Esto es muy importante si consideramos dónde estamos y cómo vamos con la implementación BIM en el Perú. Y bueno, y al final tenemos un convenio entre el CAP y Graphisoft para miembros, especialmente para miembros empezando su carrera. Esto lo hemos firmado este año en marzo, y lo que es muy importante aquí es que, ¿qué es lo que abarca esto? Porque esto es muy lindo firmar convenios, pero ¿cuál es la parte práctica? Y quiero hablar 3 palabras sobre esto. Para los miembros, empezando a ayudar a los miembros, a los jóvenes arquitectos solitos, empezando su carrera profesional, tenemos el agrado de introducir, y si son miembros de la CAP, introducir un descuento, como vemos aquí, ArchiCAD solo anual, que hay que renovar anualmente, para prácticamente contiene todas las características y beneficios de la ArchiCAD full comercial, en lugar de $890, que el precio de lista, a $600. Otra cosa que es muy importante, curso conceptual de BIM con ArchiCAD en línea por Graphisoft Learn, para dar una implementación inicial y para aprender ArchiCAD en línea. Este curso es gratis. Y los que conocen ArchiCAD saben que tenemos una aplicación para mostrar los modelos en un tablet que es BIMX, BIM Explorer, para gente que no puede manejar una aplicación BIM. Por ejemplo, en el sitio de la obra es muy útil. Entonces, también damos 5 GB de almacenamiento en la nube para modelos BIMX. Y, por supuesto, el soporte técnico por nuestra parte en el Perú, Ingeniería Digital 3D en español para todos los usuarios quienes compran una licencia. Más o menos sobre esto fue lo que quise hablar, y ahora muchas gracias por tener la oportunidad, y vamos a seguir ahora con la presentación. Gracias.
Muchas gracias, Miklos. Es efectivamente una gran oportunidad que tenemos nosotros con este convenio. Ahora vamos a dar paso a la conferencia. Te doy el paso, Ángela, para que presentes a los conferencistas.
Ok, arquitecto, muchísimas gracias. A ver, ¿me permiten compartir pantalla? Tenemos como invitado especial a ZDA Arquitectos. ZDA Arquitectos se formó en 1997. Actualmente se encuentra en el corazón de Budapest. Se convirtió hasta ahora en uno de los talleres de arquitectura más importantes de la región centroeuropea. Ganaron un papel determinante en el mercado del diseño húngaro. Desde la fundación se esforzaron por combinar la alta calidad del diseño arquitectónico con el conocimiento técnico profesional, reforzada por el principio de trabajo anglosajón y la metodología de la oficina. El perfil de sus tareas se caracteriza por la amplia gama de géneros de diseño. Esto incluye centros culturales multifuncionales, edificios de investigación con tecnología de punta y edificios de oficinas que inspiran especialmente el contacto humano, al igual que las tareas de reconstrucción de edificios históricos o encantadores hoteles y edificios residenciales. Diseños que fueron galardonados con varios premios nacionales e internacionales. Con ustedes, los arquitectos Gabor Soboki, fundador de ZDA Arquitectos, y el arquitecto Ondras Chiser, director de diseño en ZDA. Bienvenidos. Adelante. Muchas gracias.
Good evening for everybody from Budapest. This is András Csicer, my design director. I'm Gabor Zubuki, architect based, studied, live and work in this beautiful city in Central Europe. Our team is not as big if you see the international huge companies, but let's say this dimension in our country, which is 30 years old after the changes, it's a quite nice middle range type of company. Mainly we have architects, but also we work with designers and interior designers in the team. And normally we do all the works as a general contractor. So we supervise all the subconsultants' work, especially if we do difficult buildings, concert halls, hospitals. Mainly the technologists are on our side. But Hungary is in Central Europe behind the Alps. If you say, and if you fly to Moscow, the same dimension, 2 hours as Athens, Roma, or Paris. So really the heart of Europe. And that means if you feel this, you feel our life in architecture as well, because we can work not only in the European zone, especially the East countries. We have quite similar culture in architecture. So our company works also in Romania, in Serbia, Croatia, a little bit in Russia, and we opened a big market in China. But let's say we love our city. Budapest is on our hearts, in our hearts. But let's say we really love the city and we work deeply with these different stakeholders of the districts and the city. We try to build up the new concept of the city, the development of Budapest as well. So we are stakeholders of this conversation every day. So let's say a company, a Hungarian architecture firm in Budapest has to do everything from housings via hospitals to churches and till the big urban concepts. So we try to involve us from the minimized little projects till enormous concepts as well. If you would like to feel our environment, this is a country which has 1,000-year-old history, but a lot of changes because it's behind the Alps, and before the Siepe, a lot of nations went through, and normally you see this story and influences on our architecture as well. The last 150 years old was before the First World War, the Austrian-Hungarian monarchy, which gave us a very strong German architectural background, but we are very open for the Mediterranean world as well. It means that all the architects who studies here have to learn not only the modern type of way of thinking, but we are deeply in the reconstructions and the heritage questions from the Middle Age till and mainly the 19th century architecture of the city. What we do, you can see, as I mentioned, our company started his strong career in Budapest with Palace of the Arts. And that's why, because this is a multifunctional shopping mall of culture, we created there a museum for contemporary art, the Ludwig collection, a huge 2,000 seats classical concert hall, shoebox type, and 450 seats, multifunctional, dance, jazz, bird music, and chamber music type of theater. So when we established, we won this competition, really started our career fantastically, not only in Hungary, but also in the region. But after we jumped deeply in the office functional buildings, headquarters, we have fantastic, beautiful, fantastic clients in headquarters from Richter Gideon research company till the biggest communication companies. And you will see also we did listed buildings reconstruction. Now we are very deeply in a hospital project, which is enormous as well. Now what we work on, you see the main work now, the reconstruction of the Hungarian National Opera. Let's say it's mainly one of the nicest late 19th century built chamber hall, means 900 seats, neo-Renaissance building, which is incredible good acoustics and very unique architecture of Miklós Ébel. On the right side, you see a new culture center, which is in the center of a city. So we try to build up an urban concept and put in as a heart of a concert hall and a theater for 100,000 inhabitant big city close to Vienna. If you see the lower lane, you see we work now in Roma. Hungary has a beautiful Borromini palace in the middle of, in the heart of Rome, Palazzo Falconieri, which is on Via Giulia, very close to the Vatican. And we started to reconstruct this fantastic, difficult building for a culture center of Hungary. On the right side, you see Esterházy. Maybe you know that Haydn, Joseph Haydn was, and Franz Liszt, a Hungarian origin composer. This chateau was Haydn's home. He worked here 40 years, and his how can I say, Mecenas was a Hungarian guy, Esterházy, and he established this chateau, copied a little bit Versailles. This was the second biggest Baroque garden of that age, where Haydn worked 40 years. So we do also have huge hospital, 1,100 seats. This is the central hospital of Hungary, and some smaller stories. Let's see a very fast introduction to Palace of the Arts. You are in Hungary a fantastic educational system where you have to learn in the primary school singing and dancing. Our folklore means the world music culture and the background is so deep. And when you step in the school, you learn our traditional music and dance. Means when somebody's singing on the stage, half of the audience can sing the melody back, because we are deeply in the roots, and Bartók and Kodály established this educational system. But unluckily, we built Liszt Academy in 1907, but it's only a chamber hall with 800 seats. And for example, Bartók works never can work in these rooms. So 16 years ago, we could inaugurate designed by ZDA, huge multifunctional culture complex, which is, oh, sure. On the riverbank of Danube. You see now the shoebox type 2,000 seats concert hall, the Bartók Hall, which is now the most important concert venue in Budapest, but this is a multifunctional hall. I wouldn't like to torture you with the changes of the stage, the seating arrangement, the curtains which you can push down, the reverberance time, half of the classical music, 2 secondums. So we use this hall very often, more than 500 events per year in this hall. We work with an unbelievable, fantastic consultant from New York, Russell Johnson. He died after 5 years of the inauguration of the building. This was his swan song, means he was architect, but he was our acoustic consultant. And because I'm a half musician and I studied on Liszt Academy and I studied conducting, our friendship and professional common work was really successful in this hall. This is the lobby, which shows the body, the double bass form of the concert hall. And we have 2 other independent functions, as I mentioned, but I jump now to China. We appeared in China in 2008 because some delegations come very often to our region, and it was a crazy story. In 2 weeks, I jumped in a 100,000 square meter big multifunctional culture and sports center in Nanshan. It was they were after two competitions, and they couldn't come out with the programming problems. And because we also prepare with the politicians the programming of buildings, luckily we jumped in this project when we totally redesigned the earlier stages of drawings. But luckily it's during 6 years, this new center, this was the first music center of the city. Lang Lang, the famous pianist, lives in this city. And this building works really successfully now in the city. Now the new opera competition we also joined, but this is now the only multifunctional culture center in the 16 million inhabitant big fisherman village, as I say. The concert hall also, you see, it's a theater and concert hall together, because a huge orchestral shell can close the auditorium for a concert hall. And at the other situation, when this big shell goes back to the backstage, it's a normal 1,400 seats theater. Now I show you this Budapest Opera facade, 3D drawing of the new facade. We have 3 months till the inauguration, so we are really so excited. But I have to tell you, 140 years was bad enough to totally change everything in the building, and our task was to get back 140 years to the original version and show the people how the start hours of the opera culture of Central Europe, how this building worked, and how can we give back this ambiance of that era. So we worked 4 years on this reconstruction with fantastic theater technologists from Vienna and Germany, Czech Republic, and acousticians are in Paris and in Hungary as well. We always use more consultants on the same topic to dispute quite deeply in the questions. This is a brand new story of the National Dance Theatre As I mentioned, the Hungarian folklore dance is very strong. This is a new home for this theater, and this is the in progress hospital competition drawings. This is that jewelry in the mountains, also in Budapest, but in the forest. This was a horse train station, but now we created a total new reconstructional form for event center of Budapest. Last but not least, this is the Prime Ministry office in Carmelite Cloisters. So it was a religion building in the castle, and we created here a unique workplace for 200 people who lead Hungary. This is the office building. András, who is on my side, main work, or first, let's say, built work in our office, and he created this very intimate and very open, the employees loved lobby. And as I mentioned, headquarters, this is the Richter Research Pharmaceutical Company's headquarters, which we built 15 years ago, and now we create for them a new headquarters. This is the Telenor headquarters in Budapest. It's a huge fjord, a big bay where the wings are sitting on a huge hand, and it's a new form for office methodology, the Scandinavian methodology of Telenor, which was very successful. And this is Richter new under construction headquarters, designed by us, started last year. And I would like to give the words to András. He summarized the last two topic works to you in the next 20 minutes.
We bring you two competitions more detailed today, and competitions because we believe that competitions are the place where we can really test our ideas and think more bravely than in most built projects. So those projects are the ones that we basically put together all our knowledge about performing halls and acoustic spaces. We are in Shenzhen, China. As Gábor already mentioned, we opened the market in China. This is south of China, very close to Hong Kong. The city went through an incredible growth in the last 40 years. It was a fishing village, and now it's the biggest, one of the biggest metropolis, the so-called Silicon Valley of China, with of course plenty of possibilities. But as such a growth in a short time, it's always asymmetrical. Some of the public functions was following this growth, but not all. So in the cultural field, there is plenty of opportunity for architects in these days. As Gábor already presented, we had a background in Shenzhen with the National Cultural Center, so we know a lot how do they think, what is the building culture. So we had a good background to start this project. We work with a big team, even in competitions, and we believe that a building can be started from the programming. So our main partners were consultants, design partners, and documentation partners as well. But we start the competition in a way that we completely start to understand and most cases modify the program to something that we believed be working. And we do that because we have a big background in these places, not just building them, but running them as well. So we never let a building after its completion. So we have a very strong connection with the Palace of the Arts even these days, and this helps us with all the operational questions of a building as well. So we use this in the programming. The site is a unique site in the Shenzhen Bay. When we started the project, we say that it is as unique position as the Sydney Opera House as well. Maybe we feel that it is basically the biggest competition, the biggest program since the Sydney Opera House. This is completely in the bay, in the middle of the bay, next to the bridge that leads from Hong Kong and Hong Kong airport to the city. So either you arrive by car, taxi from the airport, or by boat from the sea, you will see that the building. The whole building is built up from three main functions: the opera house itself, with all the performing halls, supporting functions, that's where we added most to the program, and an urban art parlor, which is basically a communal, let's say, urban living space, living room. We wanted to create a building in such a way that the main building, the opera building, which includes 4 halls, an opera hall, operetta hall, concert hall, the chamber hall, to have their own intimate forms, shapes, and the big cultural center square, which is in the middle of the building, has direct connections with the sea all around. To achieve that, we created a building with 3 vertical layers put to each other. We have all the route. We have a route with all the stages and technical necessities for the room that it's actually mounted in a small hill or a leveled platform. A trunk, like a tree trunk, which is the place for the audience. This is where all the people who came here will arrive, and created a big, basically, leaves head, which is the place for the performance themselves. In a section, that means that all that is colored is for the audience. Above it, all the rehearsal rooms, offices, changing rooms, all the functions that's necessary for a building, that we elevated so the artist can live in the skies, basically. The the audience moving in an elevated platform, and below that, this is all the technical necessities of the building. In this way, our aim was create a sculpture that stands between the sea and the land. It has a very strong cultural square that's in the middle of the project, that can be reached from all around, from the street as well. The shape of the building itself is combined from the waves that are representing the sea and the mountains of the surrounding environment, looking into the direction of Hong Kong. Looking at from the sea, it's a very solid sculpture, basically elevated in its platform. It's close. It's representing how the whole opera area is, how important it is, and its strength. From the inside, from the cultural part, and from the land, it's more open. This is where the audience arrives. So it's close from the sea and it's open from the land. We can see through these strengths. We can see the galleries where people moves, and inside the building there are those halls that are based on the traditional European European arrangements, but with the most updated technical background that can be done. All the rooms are multifunctional, so they are not only for a single purpose, but for many purposes as well. This is the opera hall, and another most important hall is the concert hall. This is a typical shoebox type of concert hall. I'm going to share a video with you. It's a very short one. I hope it will go well. Just try to share it with more with sound. Okay, you share sound. Cool. Okay.
Celebrate every moment of a performance, recalling the golden age of European opera. We understand it, feel it, love it. We've designed acoustic spaces where the world's greatest performers and audiences can celebrate every moment of a performance, recalling the golden age of European musical genres. The competition for the design of the Setiembre Opera House in January 2020 was arguably the world's most significant competition of the past 50 years, comparable in scale only to the Sydney Opera House. The plan we submitted to the international competition put us on the same platform as the world's most prestigious architecture firms. The way we were able to realize all the subtleties of 19th century opera tradition while making use of the acoustic and theatrical technologies of the 21st century to create the unforgettable magical atmosphere that such a hall exudes in Europe is embodied by the example of the Opera Hall. This opera house is monumental, floating, exciting, and futuristic. It evokes the view of the sea and the mountains surrounding the city. We created an iconic look that is attractive at first glance, and its lyricism a reminder of the immortal figures of the genre. Architecturally, it does not brag, but stands majestically on its pedestal like an ancient tree rooted in rock.
Tehát mikor belépsz egy opera terembe, még nem szól a zene, de ez már az operának a nyitánya. Ez az opera építészetnek egy kulcsa.
I hope it was visible and hearable. It was more about how we create the competition itself, how we worked, rather than giving a complete understanding of the project itself. But we really enjoy the process, and that's what very important. That we do a competition, one of the most important thing we want to do is to enjoy the process and to learn via the process. We was selected to the 12 best projects, and thanks to its success, we was invited for the International Performance Center competition as well. While the Opera House was in a seaside, the Performance Center is in the heart of the city, very close to the existing city center. Shenzhen is celebrating its 40th birthday, and for this they created many cultural projects, and they creating a completely new center. This is a financial and cultural center, and in this center there will be 3 main buildings, and one of the 3 main buildings is the performance center. In this competition, we won a second prize shared with such an architect as Zaha Hadid. We was selected into this second prize by a jury. The jury included Rem Koolhaas and Maxime Fuchsas, so it was a really big success for us as well. We wanted to create a place, a building that has 3 main functions. It's a palace of performing arts, and that's the most important function. It's also a public space, so where people can use it freely, not just for art lovers, and it needs to be a symbol for the city as well. As for creating something unique in the field of performing art halls, we continued the way of thinking that we started with the opera house. We believe that an opera building or any performing building success is based on the hall itself. If the hall works and the artists love it, the audience love it, that's the real success of such a place. With our partners, we started to think about how could we create a real multifunctional hall that is based on the traditional, well-tested European opera hall forms, but can hold all the functions, all the genres that are that we know now and we believe would came in the future. We created a hall that can be modified in many ways and can hold from an audience from about 1,600 seats to up to 2,500 people. We always start the project with the function, so with the hall itself, and it was in this case as well. As a public space, we wanted to create in this very dense urban situation a park, such a park that can be freely used, and our idea was to elevate a green park, or the building is under it, but in the top of it we create an artificial, let's say, landscape. I will talk about that a little later. So this artificial landscape is based on the forms of hills, of mountains. We wanted to, for the people of Shenzhen, we wanted to be proud of that building and to be a symbol for the city. We tried to find for symbols that the Chinese people can associate it with, and of course it's very hard to do it from Hungary. Even if we work in China and we have project in China, it's always difficult to go into another continent and try to find out what's the essence of the cells and find associations that they can be happy with. But we feel that mountains are a strong and continuous part of the mythology, and we went to start to form it into a 21st century way to create it to create emotions with the mountains, and to turn it into a 21st century island, basically a green island in the top of the mountain. It stands on solid rocks, and top of it is a very vivid green vegetation. The ground floor places and all the audience spaces has a strong connection with its neighborhood. The stone facade is semi-transparent, so we partly can see through, mainly in the ground floor areas. it works like canyon. So looking up, we see the garden above, but we also see that how all these forms are closing together. In the competition, we always go for a very, very detailed plans. So we not only form it from the outside and only form it the holes, that we really go through and design the whole operation of the building, because that's how we believe it can be a plan that if we win, we really could go on win. This building contained 2 halls, one multifunctional hall that I was talking before, and a concert hall. The concert hall is elevated, so we have separate lobby areas for the 2. As you can see in the section, this huge building is containing a very, very enormous technical spaces, and we, with our partners, we went into high details to really make it work. And I'm going to show you another video of this project. This was a short video that we applied with the competition itself, and that's basically the end of our presentation. I hope you could enjoy the video through this internet connection. If not, you can find it in our website or in our YouTube link. We would like to thank you for your attention. Thank you. Bye.
Muchísimas gracias, arquitectos, por su presentación el día de hoy. Han quedado encantados todos los espectadores. Tenemos algunas preguntas. No sé si se fueran tan amables de poder responder a nuestros oyentes. Como primera pregunta, nos dicen, ¿cuál diría que es la clave para una empresa de arquitectura exitosa? Si pudiera, por favor, cuéntenos un poco sobre su historia, cómo comenzó a trabajar en proyectos más grandes. Gracias. A ver si nos pueden responder, por favor.
My understanding is the only profession which sees the holistic view of the world is the architecture. This is one sentence. And the second is, architecture is deeply psychological.